Good afternoon, and thank you so much for your time today. How are you?
I'm alive.
Yes, I mean
Still,
that's an actual plus these days, isn't it?
it is. I mean, it's funny at first, but it's tragic at second thought.
Yeah. Has
It's,
life changed much for you?
well, yes, dramatically. I mean, in the sense that I've been locked down for most of the year.
Hmm.
I mean, I've been lucky in a way. Well, lucky. I've got a wee place in France. I mean, it's not a chateau, but now it's a chateau. It's in between. It's something quite nice. And I went over there in March last year just to check on it in spring. And for 2 weeks, I ended up coming back to London 4 months later. And then I had 4 months in London, and then I went back to France. Then I got locked down, and then I came back here because I got some work to do. And I came back and I quarantined, and then the day I came out of quarantine, I got locked down again for 4 weeks. And so it's just been a whole
Yeah,
lockdown.
it's been a mess, hasn't it?
Yeah, complete chaos.
Before I talk about, which we obviously want to talk about the owners, I'd love to know about your first acting role, if you can remember that far back. What was it, 1965, Vision On, according to IMDb. Is that how you got into acting?
No, Vision On was my first TV series.
Right.
No, I'd been acting a few years before that.
Okay.
How I became an actor was that in the 60s, I had been working in the City of London. So I had lots of mathematical skills, you know. I worked in accounts and various other things. But the 60s arrived, and I hated working what I did, doing what I did. So I became a hippie, and I ended up getting a job in the theatre, the Roundhouse in London, which is still going. It was just opening then, and there was a hippie centre, so they needed a hippie who could count. And so I could do that, so I got the job. And so therefore I stepped into the theatre, knowing nothing about theatre. Then one day, a guy mistook me for an actor and offered me a job, and I took it at the age of 27. So the first thing I did was Ken Campbell's Roadshow, and I did it with another unknown actor at the time, a guy called Bob Hoskins, and the wonderful David Hill and Jane Wood, who are still acting and around at the moment, and that's how I started acting, really.
Amazing.
And it was just, I had never done it before, but I took to it like a duck to water, according to the director.
Amazing.
And I've been swimming ever since. Paddling it mad not to drown.
Was there ever a point that you wanted to put acting down and do something else, or was it always acting?
No, I was 27 when it happened. I'd been wandering around having no idea what I wanted to do until the age of 27. But once I did this, I thought, that's it. I was thinking the other day, I thought, I don't think I could do anything else now. I mean, I really can't think of anything else. I'd get so bored. Also, the kind of acting I've done has been an infinite variety and madness and lunacy and expectancy. And as a producer of Doctor Who looked at my CV once and said, you know, Sylvester, you've done everything in this business, from street theatre, from busking to grand opera and all the things in between. You've worked for the Royal Shakespeare Company, the National, you've travelled the world, you've filmed, blah, blah, blah. He said, the only thing you haven't done is ballet. But then I realised, so I've done all that. I couldn't do a soap. Okay. Although Doctor Who in a way was kind of soapy-like, but it was only lasted so many, you know, it was much more fantastical. I couldn't do it. I mean, I admire actors who do those jobs for, I need change. I really, you know, I have to change quickly. I don't want to be that one person too long, especially in soaps, because that one person becomes yourself.
Yeah.
I think most of the time I'm running away from myself, being other people.
From Doctor Who to Radagast in obviously The Hobbit, I wondered if there's anything that you kept as mementos for yourself that you were too precious to let go. You said, please can I have that from the outfits, or Radagast outfits, or the bunnies, which I presume were digital or animatronic?
No, they were real. Actually, you know, there are bunnies that are that big. The Belgian bunnies.
Really?
Yeah, they were based on that. But
Okay.
they were, you know, they weren't animatronic. They were
CGI.
You know,
Yeah.
CGI.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Oh well, Doctor Who. I ended up with the costume and the umbrella. The reason was that when they suddenly decided to stop doing Doctor Who, they forgot to. They gave me there were very different. There, but 3 or 4 makes of the one costume. One of them was for me to go and do personal appearances at the time, so I had it at home. So when they stopped doing Doctor Who, they forgot to ask me to give it back, and I forgot to give it back. So then yes, when the Hobbit was at the end, Peter Jackson, it was lovely. He used to make a speech at the end of the last scene that actors did in the film, because we were working on it off and on for 3 years. And at the end of it, he made a lovely speech, and he said, Sylvester, it's been a really great working with you and all that. I said, thank you very much. And he said, and this is 3 years. And then he suddenly said, and he said, one of the great things about it was, he said, I got to work with Doctor Who. And he did that. And for 3 years, he didn't mention Doctor Who. But it turns out he was a big fan of Doctor Who. And he's got my costume, one of the other ones.
All right.
But he then gave me my staff, and he gave me a bottle of red wine from Bilbo Baggins's basement, and he gave me the seat with my name on it, Radagast, for the filming where we sat around waiting to film. So I've got those.
Yeah, I've absolutely loved your character, the Radagast, especially. Is just bonkers. Like I remember reading him, which I thought was fantastic.
Bonkers. I was playing straight.
Okay, all right. Which leads me to the owners. So I didn't actually read who was in it. I got a screener from Marek, and he said, check this out, it's quite fun. I was probably halfway through, and I was like, wait a minute, that's Sylvester Mccoy. And it's the first time I think I've seen you in a role that quite like that. So obviously you've done some other, I guess your classes as thriller horror, with a bit of comedic touch in there. It's definitely got a dry humor. So I was wondering, is this something that you sought out, that you want to do something like, because you're trying to get your creative juices flowing, or how did this particular character come to you, and what do you like about it?
Well, I mean, the thing is that what happened was that the casting agency that actually got me cast in The Hobbit, and therefore, I take notice of them when they get in touch. They got in touch with me and said they thought I would, I might quite like this role. And I read the script, and they were right. I realized it was, the twist is lovely. If you don't know what's going to happen next, you're surprised. And also I knew that those fans of mine who only know me for specific things, it would open them up to the possibility that there are other things I can do, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I did do sadly, it was the opening of Channel 5 way back, and it was a night of technical mishap, so it wasn't really seen, but it was a film called Beyond Fear with Gina McKee, based on a true story about a guy who kidnaps an estate agent and puts her in a kind of a coffin. And that was a similar-ish type of thing.
Yeah.
So I had done that years ago, but never seen, sadly, except because of all the Channel 5 mess up. But anyway, yeah, I did another horror film recently called Slumber. But in that, I mean, that's completely over the top. I eat the furniture. I mean,
I'll have to look out for that.
I mean, it's like the it's horror. It's terrible. I'm terrible in it, but I think it might become one of those. Something it's so bad it becomes popular.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. The director sent me a letter afterwards. I hadn't seen it, and he'd been editing, and he said to me, he said, "This is the best performance you've ever given in your life." And when I saw it, I was going, "Ah!"
Oh no. Okay.
So I mean, the thing about acting in film is one is only the jigsaw puzzle. You're only a bit of the jigsaw puzzle, one of the little jigs, and you have to rely very much on directors and editors and script.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can sometimes give your all and end up being terrible. sometimes you can give that, do nothing and become great. And it's not to do with you, it's to do with, the magicians that take over.
It's definitely the sum of the whole parts. Everything has to work for it to produce something really good.
And it is extraordinary how many good films there are. I mean, it is extraordinary. So many people are involved in making this thing work.
Yeah. Talking about people, Maisie Williams.
The marvelous Maisie Magnificent Williams. Maisie Marvelous Williams.
She brings an energy, which I thought worked really well against your character. What was it like working with her?
It was great. I mean, the thing is, she comes with how would you say, a great. She's been doing film for most of her life and all that. She comes with great knowledge, wisdom, and one has great respect. I foresee that not only is she a really good actress and she'll carry on being a great actress, I think she'll end up being director and producer. She's got that head. She knows what she's doing. She's amazing, and she's got she's bubbly, the bubbly, quirky, good fun person. And then when she starts to work, very serious and does it really, kind of switches to this amazing professional.
That's great. Was there a particular day that you found hard on this particular shoot? It's a question I normally ask all actors. They can normally pinpoint, like, yeah, this particular day or days was hard because we had to do this action sequence, or was something that we just had to reshoot or just get right. Do you remember anything being particularly difficult?
Yes, there was. There was this, I had to make a speech, a long speech in the dining room, if you remember.
Yeah.
And it was when, it all started to unfold and you could see what was going on, really. And it was a very long speech. And I remember thinking, long speeches are not good in film. Film's visual. You should be able to say something with the rise of an eyebrow. But you think, well, maybe we'll do it. Well, I'm not going to argue. So I learned the speech, and it was very hard to learn because it was so long and complicated. And then we filmed it. Now, how they did it? Well, there were 6 of us in this scene. So we had to do it. Every person got 3 shots. There was a master shot, the 2 shot, the 1 shot, the close up, and that was 6 times. 3, 6, 18 times. But there were mistakes were made, so it was again and again. I had to keep doing this speech all those times, even when it was on someone else, because I wouldn't read it. Anyway, so I remember at the end of the day, at one point, it got to the point where they said one more time, and I couldn't speak. My lips, the muscles in around my mouth gave up. Wow. It was, I'll never forget that. It was like, ooh. And then when I watched the film, they didn't cut the speech, but they cut it down. And I remember thinking, why didn't they cut it down? And I didn't have to go through all the agony doing it. Although, I mean, the agony of doing it, in a sense, gave it some, kind of a frissons. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes things that are hard, or they give another layer underneath what you're doing.
Yeah, I can imagine that can be quite frustrating. Out of the projects that you've done, can you think of something that stands out to you that you've enjoyed the most? So in contrast to A Difficult Day, is there something that you just would love to go back to, or just stands in your memory as, yeah, that's the one I will remember?
Well, I was in Sense8 by Lana Wachowski. The Wachowski, well, when I started off, it was brothers, then it became sisters. Anyway, and we filmed the end of the series in Paris on the Eiffel Tower. We took over the Eiffel Tower in Paris and they filmed a party all night long. I mean, there was no alcohol involved, but there were so many actors involved from all around the world, and the African contingent arrived looking amazing in their costumes and everything. And there was this dance we were doing, and we kind of were doing the dance. It was kind of vaguely choreographed, and it was being filmed, but the Africans took over. bang, and they brought to it this amazing rhythm and this amazing energy. And by the end of the night, we were all completely in this dance, and it stopped being a choreograph and became a documentary, and it was glorious. And then they had fireworks. The whole of the Eiffel Tower was completely lit up with fireworks. It was just astonishing. And of course, they forgot to tell anyone in Paris they were doing it. So the Parisians all woke up and thought, my God, at first the noise, the terrible things that have been happening, in Paris. But then they looked out and saw the fire. And then they thought, look at the diaries. What is it? Is it the Bastille Day? I mean, we missed something. I'll go back to that again. That was the most wonderful experience working on Sense8. I loved that. I loved that series. What was very sad was that I popped in at the second series, and then they were going to do a third, but they cancelled it.
Yeah, it didn't get picked up, did it? Yeah.
Yeah, but then there was such a hoo-ha about it that from the fans that they agreed to make a film to wind it all up.
Yeah.
But I was told that they had got plans for me in the third series where I would have been much more involved, and then sadly that was cut. But I mean, I loved doing that.
Yeah, it was an incredible series.
Oh, you enjoyed that, did you? Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Great.
Fantastically put together. The creative genius of the Wachowskis' minds. I'd love to sit down with them and just pick their brains, because
they're lovely. I mean, lovely, great, fun, ordinary, down to earth. They're just great. I didn't meet the other sister. I didn't meet him because I don't know why. He wasn't around while I was there. But Lorna was great. Yeah.
And just a couple of quick fun questions. Do you drink tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Right.
I mean, I love tea, but sadly it's got something in it that's not very good for arthritis. So. Right.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I've learned something today.
Yeah, I believe so. Unless you find out differently. If you do find out differently, then let me know, because I like. I was a tea Jenny, but I know I drink coffee. I have a coffee. I have my own grinder with all the beans and
nice.
The usual.
Yeah, I like it.
Paraphernalia. I like the paraphernalia. I used to smoke when I was 17. I became an adult at 17, took up a pipe, and I smoked a pipe for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think part of the fun was the paraphernalia, poking it, and doing it. So with coffee, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I can see that. Are you a cat or dog person, or neither?
Both, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like cats and dogs.
And now a tricky one: Marvel or DC?
I suppose Marvel, really, because I remember when I was young. Yeah, Marvel comics. Yeah.
Okay. That's all the questions I got. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
I'm looking forward to seeing what else you do. Loved you in this role. Thought it was fantastic. Really interesting and fun.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I really appreciate the time you've given. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.